Hello and welcome to the walk-off, everybody. This is a Monday morning mailbag on a Tuesday afternoon, done on a Wednesday afternoon. I'm Scott Belford, joined, and I'm so excited to say this, by the best co-host in the biz, Adam Mack. The Mac Attack is back. Do you like how I ack all in a row there?
It
Very,
makes, yeah, it's good. It's good. How you had 6 months to think of something, or
6
6
months
weeks
to think,
to
6 weeks to
six
think of
weeks to
something,
think.
and that's what I had. That's what I had.
That's
Something
that's
that has obviously already been come up with.
that's why you're a professional. You've taken what's already worked and you shoehorned it in there.
Humans love a pun or things that rhyme, right? Punches and bunches.
Yes,
That people live by that. Live and die by punches and
that's
bunches. Yeah,
all the success I've ever had in a roast battle has been based off of roasts that rhyme.
it's true.
There's so
We love it. We love a good rhyming or punny type of comment.
you ever
Humans
read a dirty
can't
poem?
help
You're
it.
like,
Oh,
holy shit,
yeah.
he went there and it
Yes.
rhymed. How did he do
Yes.
that? Oh my
How did
God.
he rhyme Nantucket with that? It's incredible.
Oh my God. Sucking and whatting? Oh my
That's
God. All right.
oh man. See, this is the high quality content that we missed without you, brother. And
Yeah, and you
very
guys got
happy you're
used to all
back.
the highly educated Joel takes. Well,
Yes, that's right. Well, we're back in
you're
the
not
mud
getting
where we
those today.
belong. So we comb over all of your interaction every single week on Twitter at Walk Off Podcast, Instagram, the Walk Off Podcast. If you are a Patreon member, you get that automatic Patreon bump. You also get MLB Mondays, added content. You get instant access to our interviews. I know that we sat down with Jesse Litch, former pitcher for the Toronto Blue Jays, last week. I released that just yesterday, but it was on Patreon from the moment. I got a chance to sit down with one of the Blue Jays' top 10 prospects, Jerron Watts Brown. So he was drafted last year, third round, has been in the Florida Coast League over the last season, got his call up to Vancouver at the beginning of July. And he sat down and really talked about just what it was like coming up in the system and getting drafted, what went into the draft. It was really interesting, dude, because people always give their draft story and it's like, oh, my
hmm
friends were there, my phone was blowing up. But he really
hmm
got into the like how many different people went to see his family and like the sleuthing that teams do to uncover who you are as a person, right? Because that's
Right.
when you're a top 5 round pick, they're really doing their homework, looking into your
Yeah.
past and stuff like that. So that was really interesting to just kind of hear like the
Hmm.
sleuthing that teams are doing. So, anyways, Jerron Watts Brown, that interview is on Patreon right now. Should be released sometime this week, I think.
Yeah, I guess because like anybody can have superstar talent, but nowadays you got to check like when's the last time this guy dated a 12-year-old? Because you never
And
know.
I mean, it's I
Was he
know
12?
everyone's a
Cool.
lot
Was
of people
he?
are a lot of people, Adam, are saying, I wonder what he's talking about. But it's very true though, man. It's very true.
One day they'll get the
Yeah,
reference.
yeah, that's right. But when it
Frankly, I
comes
don't
to
know what we're even joking about ourselves. So,
does it rhyme? Is it punny? That's all I care.
all right, welcome back. Welcome back.
Yes. So Jerron Watts Brown, that is on Patreon right now. Should be out shortly. We always do our best to talk with some of the upcoming stars in this system. I know that if you are into that sort of stuff, we have a wide variety of interviews
hmm
with guys in this Blue Jays system, including just recently Will Robertson, who's on the verge of probably getting a call up here. Riley Terada, another guy that is most likely probably going to make his MLB debut with the Blue Jays this season. That's another one that's out there on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast right now. Okay, so that's our promo, our self promo.
Yeah. I just want to say, since I've been back, it's nice to see the subscribers have been slowly creeping up.
Yeah.
I think unofficially, this is the 1 year anniversary of us being really close to 5,000 subscribers. I don't think
Mhm.
we've had much growth here lately. So thanks to everybody who's kept
No,
this
it's true.
kept secret on YouTube.
If you've hit that subscribe button, we really do appreciate it. We are just pushing 5,000 right now, which is mind blowing to me. I know we get comments like this channel sucks. They haven't even hit 5,000 yet, and they've been going for 4 years. So to you people, I say, I don't
Fuck
give a
off,
fuck.
Dad.
You know, fuck right off, Dad. At Walk Off Podcast on Twitter, the Walk Off Podcast on Instagram. We comb through the Discord to get your comments there. That obviously a Patreon perk. Let's dive into it. From Twitter, Matt DM'd us. He said, "Hey guys, trying for Mailbag. How do you think this year's draft went for the Blue Jays? Everyone talks about their bad draft record. Hopefully 2024 is the exception." I love this question because there's no way to answer it. How did they do in the draft? We'll wait 5 years and we'll let you know. Unfortunately, that's kind of how it goes. I will say that the pundits, MLB pundits, Adam, are saying the Blue Jays had a good draft. Got a couple of top tier pitchers out of college in the first 2 rounds. Trey Yasevich, Kyle Steffen, and then they also picked up Johnny King. So Johnny King was their 3rd round draft pick. He's a lefty out of high school. He's the youngest. He's 18, going into the system here, starting his professional baseball career. He was picked 95th overall, and fireballer, velocity. That's kind of the big tag attached to this kid. Again, 18 years old. This is a dude who, if he makes his MLB debut at 22, has developed beautifully. The round before him, the 2nd round pick, Cal Steven. So he reached a deal yesterday, 1.12 million. His slot value was 1.49. And that's another thing to keep in mind with the draft when it comes to baseball, is that sometimes teams will take a guy early or later in an attempt to fit this money together. So they've all got a draft pool, and then they need to go by the slot value and negotiate there and try and fit these pieces of this financial puzzle together. And getting a guy under slot is always very valuable. I know that Trey Yasevich was kind of the belle of the ball when it comes to the draftees. 20-year-old from East Carolina University. He was touted as one of the top pitchers in the 2024 class. 6'4", righty. Steven is also a righty, by the way, if that was something you were wondering about. Ranked as the number 11 prospect, 3rd ranked pitcher, and he dropped down to the 21 spot. So that's why the Jays picked him up. They were shocked he was still available. So again, 2 college pitchers and a high school. That's your top 3. They go into the position players by round 4. We'll see. I mean, Matt, it's a good question. How did the Blue Jays do? Unfortunately, only time will tell. Fingers crossed that with these pundits viewing it as a good draft, that it at least gives some value to some of these guys. And so if the Blue Jays were to maybe make some moves or some trades or whatever it may be, whatever it is, whenever your assets have more value, that's always a benefit. So time will tell.
So I've got a Bleacher Report article from April 15th. This is MLB Farm System rankings for the 2024 season. So this is at the start of the season. Blue Jays ranked 23rd.
Mhm.
Now, there's some asterisking here, as obviously Aurelvis Martinez had Stinky P, and Ricky Tiedemann
Ricky.
can't pick up a baseball without going ouch. But there's an updated MLB Farm System rankings from Bleacher Report as of July 19th. This is following the 2024 MLB draft. Blue Jays 30th.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, that's what happens when you take your 2 top prospects and pretty much scratch them off that list, which, I mean, Aurelvis Martinez getting busted for doping, just worst case scenario. Ricky Teetman not being able to stay on the field. Again, worst case scenario. So, uh, is there talent in Buffalo that can help this team? Yes, there is. If there is one strength to this Blue Jays system, is that they're Buffalo boys. I mean, we're seeing it firsthand on this team right now. They're graduating. Leo Jimenez is a dude who could be a real piece. Spencer Horwitz has been a godsend for this Toronto Blue Jays with the way he's hitting, the season he's having. Is he real? Is it for real? I mean, player development people around the league say yes. They say he's not necessarily going to hit 330 his whole career, which, that would kind of put him on Hall of Fame trajectory. So we don't expect that. But, a good little piece. And he has been much better at second base than a lot of people expected. There's some dudes like Stuart Baroa that developed late 25. As soon as a prospect is 25, 26, they don't really get the hype or the recognition that you might want. We'll see. I don't know if the Blue Jays are as bad as 30th, but they're not good, man. And especially after the tongue lashing that this front office gave Alex Anthopoulos and leaving the cupboards bare and the waves of talent rhetoric that we heard over those years. Yeah. Looking at 2024 and seeing this Blue Jays farm system at 30th, well, the major league team sucks. It's a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah. Toxic positivity from this podcast. The meter is on empty.
Yeah, we're wearing thin on it. Absolutely. Going to Samantha, who also reached out on Twitter at Walk Off Podcast. She goes, well, holy shit. Maybe George Springer is still a stud, ? If he looks like this next year, maybe this team can compete in 2025, ? I mean, there's some toxic positivity for you. You know what stands out to me was the first line in Keegan Matheson's article from 2 days ago, and he was writing about George Springer, and he said, very similar to a superhero showing up once the city's already been leveled. George Springer is here in full force.
Great analogy. I love it.
It's a great analogy. But Adam, honestly, man, it's insane what he is doing. So, the 70 games to start the season is the worst 70-game stretch in George Springer's career. The last 21 games is the fourth best span of 21 games in George Springer's career. So it's hot or cold right now, and it seems like George has done something to turn the season around. We're all aware of what happened up until June 24th. His numbers were absolutely disgusting, and a big reason why this team is not in the playoffs right now. George Springer completely face planting for 2024 has hurt this team as bad as anything that has happened this year. He hit 188, an on-base percentage, Adam, of 278. Like, technically, I want to see his batting average around 278. Forget about his on-base clip.
Yeah.
Slugging percentage was disgusting. 281, an OPS of 559. We were talking about this. You might have been on hiatus when we first started talking about this, but he was on pace in the first half of the season to have the worst OPS of a corner outfielder in 100 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that was when I was like, all right, I'm out. I need a
I'm out.
I need
Good
a 6
night,
week break.
everybody.
Yeah. That's enough.
He had 5 home runs up to June 24th, and this one stood out. His exit velo was 86.5 miles an hour. Buddy, since then, since June 25th, he's hitting 377, an on-base percentage of 435, a slugging percentage of 792, an OPS of 1227. This is almost a full month now we're talking. 8 home runs. He had 5 in the first 3 months, 8 home runs in the 1 month since. He's got 25 RBIs, which is almost double what he had before. And this, again, man, exit velo, 92 miles an hour. So we're talking about a 6-mile-an-hour increase in how hard he's hitting the ball, and it's translating. So I hate to give credit to this coaching staff and to John Schneider, but they did come out about a month ago and they said, we have analytics you don't have that says George is on the verge of breaking out. To which I said, bullshit. George Springer is washed up. Those were my exact words. Now I'm eating it. So if
Yeah, I'm
you go ahead.
just so we're now at July 24th. Haven't played today, but July 23rd, our most recent data point. If we go back a month to June 22nd, 323 batting average, slugging is 677, OPS 1.060, and 8 home runs. That is a 52 home run pace over 162.
Yep.
Since June 22nd. Coincidentally, maybe not, maybe, Elvis Martinez last played for the Jays June 21st. Did they stick George in Elvis's old locker space in the clubhouse? Maybe he found some vials.
Did they stick him with anything? That's the real question.
I don't care.
So here's
Is
the
it
question
sustainable for
you.
the rest of the year? I think so. Is it something that I think we can look forward to continuing into next season? I do not think so.
This is what I was going to ask you is there a happy medium for 2025? Remembering that George Springer 34, he will be 35 next season. The last big year we watched out of Jose Bautista was his age 35 year. Guys don't age better, but he does seem to be hitting the ball much harder. He seems to be approaching his at-bats with a plan that is working far better. Is there a world, Adam, where George Springer can still hit 250 and 30 bombs next year? Like, can he continue to stay healthy like he has this season?
No.
No, you're not
No.
confident in this. No.
No. I think honestly, best case scenario, he continues this pace, stays healthy for the rest of the season, and then maybe we're able to like foist him onto the LA Angels in the offseason.
Here's
Maybe
a
there's a
real
sucker out there that we can go, hey, how would you like 2 more years of a resurgent George Springer? I mean, we're not going to get anything for George Springer, right? But it's we got to get out from under his contract in order to free up space to move on from him. Is how I'm looking at it. 2025 is a write-off. We're not competing. Spoiler alert. I know we're going to get to that later in the show. Full rebuild is the only way I can proceed. George Springer is 2 more years of control.
2026 is his final year. Yeah.
Okay, so 2 more seasons after this season, we've got him at what, 25 million a year?
Whatever 6 divided 150 was. So
a lot.
a lot. 27 and a half, I think it is, something like that. Yeah.
So
we're going to get comments now being like, your guys' math is fucking horrible, but that's fine.
That's fine. That's fine. You're not here for the math. Honestly, if he can just be good enough, I mean, like at this level for the rest of the season, that maybe when we trade away whoever we trade away in the off season, we can throw in George Springer and get a little bit less of a return. Like, oh, you want Bo Bichette, but you're not willing to give us much back.
Yeah.
Okay, well, take George Springer too then. Like, give
the old
us
David Price Mookie Betts move.
It's painful, but like that's what you got to do. I mean,
do you think that George is showing enough right now that there might be a contender out there that would be willing to take him on for the rest of the season?
Right now,
and
that's the best case scenario, man.
Yeah.
That was my next point. Was like maybe he can stay hot for 7 more days.
What if the Jays eat half of it?
Sure. But then I want stuff back.
Yeah.
Like,
it doesn't even need to be the best stuff, but I want some lottery tickets at least.
But like I'm fine if we didn't pay anything. I'm fine with like getting nothing for him. Like, I'm fine for like
Alex Rios this. Just take
yeah,
him. Take his
just
money and take him.
take
Yeah.
them. If you're willing to pay for the next 2 seasons because you think, hey, a veteran guy that's been there, has playoff experience, and we're the LA Dodgers, and we can just use him just for his bat and his ability to bang on a trash can here and there, we'll take him. Like, man, would I ever pull the trigger on that for zero return? I mean, I don't think you can legally do it for zero return, but let's just call it like future considerations. Some like
Mhm.
low A guy that's 25 years old and can't make it to double A. He's that bad. Give me that guy and you take the rest of George Springer, knowing that the next 2 years you're gonna set 50 million on fire, but you might get help in a postseason run. And that's what you're gonna pay $70 million for. You're gonna pay $60 million to hopefully win a World Series this year. If we can find a sucker for that and George is gonna be good enough, let's fucking do that.
What about this? George Springer to the Astros. Speaking of
Uh,
money, Adam, it came out recently that the Yankees are interested in Chad Green. Now, Chad Green is still owed $10.5 million next year. They took the
yeah,
2-year option. Um,
have them, take them.
like if they'll take that money, and I know there's rumors. This is what's really confusing about this front office and this belief that they can turn around and compete in 2025. I just, I just don't have the faith that they have the ability to pull it off. Like the threading the needle that you would need to do to pull it off. And listen, I think it is possible. Like
No,
there are some blocks here that, I I don't get a different front office. I do think maybe they could pull it off. But my God, the margin for error is so thin, man. Like you really need to nail your free agents. You need to nail every single trade. You need positive regression for everyone who is cringing at that word. I don't know why positive regression became the theme of last offseason and this year, but we have seen none. We have seen no positive regression, only negative regression, only regression, you know?
so do you think we could compete in 2025?
No.
That feels delusional to me to even like pretend that that is a possibility because like unless playoffs expand to 8 teams in each league, maybe.
Mm.
I was watching the
My biggest problem, Adam, is the Boston Red Sox. The Boston Red Sox single-handedly are the reason why I don't think that this team can compete for a playoff spot. The Red Sox are
yeah.
only going to get better. They are so well positioned. No one's talking about them. Frick, I might put some money on them to win the World Series because their odds are insane and they're such
Mhm.
a good team right now. I don't think they have the horses in the starting rotation to do it, but I mean, this is
Yeah,
a
yeah.
problem that can be solved in free agency or even at the trade deadline. Who knows
Hmm.
what the Red Sox do? We already know what juggernauts the Yankees and the Orioles are, and the Rays winning if the Rays win today, they're back to 500.
Yeah.
So like of those 4 teams, who are we catching? You need to catch 2 of those 4. And that's counting on the Texas Rangers continuing to shit the bed. That's counting on the Houston Astros or the Seattle Mariners winning the division and the whoever that other team is not being good enough to compete for the wild card. It's betting on the AL Central not continuing to progress, which they are. The Kansas City Royals, the Cleveland Guardians, the Detroit Tigers. These are all teams that I think are going to take another step forward next year.
The Twins, the Royals, yeah,
Yeah,
I
the
mean
Twins. I,
it's
I didn't even mention the Twins, and they're right there too. The Twins were
this is where like not going into we're so far
Fiddling,
past
dude. It's
retool.
terrifying. It's
Oh,
terrifying.
it's the worst. It's the worst. As a Montreal Canadiens fan, I can't go through this with my baseball team, just being a team that perennially just misses the playoffs.
Worst
Like
place in the world to be.
You gotta suck hard for Bedard. That's what I always say, and it rhymes. So there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
The
So we know
audience
it's
loves
true.
it.
We know it's true.
Like I was watching the JD Bunkus podcast. He's really grown on me over this year. He's really grown on me. And I know I've mentioned him before, and I got ragged on in the comments about him. He's not for everyone. I acknowledge that. But he broke it down pretty nicely, I thought, the other day. He was talking about like how fucking out to lunch you have to be to think this team is going to be a contender in 2025. And he broke down like he's all the stuff you just said about the teams that you're counting on taking a step back, or at least fucking not going all in and fucking improving, right? Even standing pat, you got to catch X amount of those teams, and there's so many good ones that are just better than I recorded MLB.
Okay.
And there we are, back.
We're back.
So the breakdown of the Jays and any claims that we're going to compete in 2025, just gaslighting this team or the fan base, is like, in order for us to compete next year, as like a justification for not trading Bo and whatever, is as you just addressed, all of the great teams above us needing to catch them. And in order to do that, we need, like you said, positive regression from Springer, whatever he's put together for the last month at age 35 needs to be 162 games at age 36, right? Bo and Vlad both need to take steps forward. Vlad needs to be really, really good again. He's not to poop on him, like he's been disappointing relative to what his ceiling is that we've seen, but like he hasn't been bad. He's been really good this year.
Yeah, he has been really good this year. I mean, outside of power, which he should still hit around 25 home runs, which isn't enough for him. I agree, but
no. But he needs more. Bo needs a lot more. But then we still need to we need to go get 2 starting pitchers, right? Because Kikuchi's gone. Alek Manoah is, I think, elbow surgery, so he's done for at least the start of next season. We can't go with Francis Bowden again. Like that experiment, I think, has proven it's not what you need to beat the fucking 11 teams ahead of us in the American League, right? We need a full bullpen. We need 6 new bullpen arms, right?
Yeah, I would say so, or at least we got to sure hope that. I mean, again, Jordan Romano just went through surgery. Is he going to be ready by the beginning of next year? I don't know. So the back end of this pen looks rough, man.
So here's the bullet points breakdown from JD Bunkus, the podcast everyone loves to hate. I love to love. It's you need 6 bullpen arms. These are the moves you need to make this offseason. 6 bullpen arms, 2 starting pitchers, a corner outfielder, a third baseman
that can hit.
Yep,
both of
third baseman. Yes, and a DH that is going to be as good as or better than what Justin Turner gave us, right? And then probably also need to consider a replacement for Danny Jansen if we're going to fucking trade him away this year, which I fucking hope not.
Yeah. No, I know it.
And then on top of those fucking 11 pieces you need to add, you also need Vladdy to have a step forward, Bo to have a big step forward, George Springer to be good again at 36. You need Chris Bassett, who's going to be 35, to not regress. You need Kevin Gossman, who's going to be 34, I think, to also be hopefully better than he was this year.
Yeah.
They're both old now. Right, you need Barrios to be good.
With a farm system ranking 30th, with no one knocking on the door, because anyone
where do you do
on the door is there right now.
He's already here.
So
So that's where it's like, okay, this talk of the Jays competing in 25 is ludicrous.
you'd have to
Ludicrous to
thread a
think we can
needle to a level.
fucking crazy.
I don't think this front office can. Like
That's
that's the
why I'm like,
thing.
this is why I'm saying, like, get rid of George Springer for fucking nothing.
Yeah.
Package him and Spencer Horwitz and just say, take them both, but pay all of the money, just so that we have the money to spend on whoever we're going to go after in free agency. Like, our only way out of this hole is to spend the way the Yankees did in the 1990s, like to just outspend everyone in free
And
agency.
they're
But
not
we have
going
so
to.
many well, even if we were going to, we have so many financial anchors we can't.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
I don't know.
it's
It's
tough.
just
It's tough. So
that.
this is a perfect transition into the next question. Also from Twitter, Muhammad reached out. He said, "Hey, walk off, hoping to make it on Mailbag. I tried the last 2 weeks and didn't make it. Uh, for everyone who tries to get on Mailbag and you don't, please be like Muhammad and just keep trying. I do my best to mix the names up and who's getting on and stuff like that. So,
I've
not
been
giving
fighting
up.
for you, Mohammed. I've been
Yeah,
trying to
that's
get
right.
on Mailbag for the last 2 weeks. I haven't been able to either. I finally got let back on. I said I'm not coming without a comment from Mohammed. So here we are.
That's right. So finally, with Adam back, someone stood up for you, Muhammad. What free agents are available in the offseason, and are there some you think could turn this team around? So
Yes.
I did look into it, and there's some very viable free agents that would make this team better. I'm gonna say no. I don't think that there is a group of free agents that can make this 2025 team a winner. I don't know if free agency is what it used to be for being able to buy a team. Now, that said, the Texas Rangers did it. How much money are you prepared to spend? I guess is the real question here, because there is a difference between spending $150 million on a guy, George Springer, where there are some question marks. Normally, a guy you're going to get for $150 million is going to probably be on the side of 30 that is less than desirable.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the sure things cost more. The sure things, all of a sudden, you're getting into that $200 to $300 million range. And I mean, even then, there are Xander Bogaerts examples of that type of scenario where it just
Mm-hmm.
doesn't work out. So if you want a sure thing, are there sure things in next year's free agency? Juan Soto is there.
Yeah.
Currently a New York Yankee. He is probably going to get the biggest deal in Major League Baseball history for anyone that isn't Shohei Ohtani, right? So for anyone that isn't a two-way player, Juan Soto is probably going to break records with his deal. Beloved in New York. Getting into a bidding war with the New York Yankees is not the way to bolster this team. We watched it firsthand last year, getting in a bidding war with the Los Angeles Dodgers. You're going to wind up with the short end of the stick. I'm not saying it's completely impossible that convincing someone born and raised in the Dominican Republic that Canada is just equally as desirable as America. In fact, if there's any players out there, I think it's Dominicans and Japanese players, people who weren't born and raised in America that you can convince of that.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many question marks surrounding this Blue Jays team. If you're Juan Soto, do you want to come to Toronto? I like legitimate question. When you look at Bowen, you look at Vlad, and you look at the lack of long-term contracts this organization is already invested in, and the way baseball is going, there's zero. Toronto has done zero mega contracts. And that's not to sneeze at the payroll, who is currently seventh in all of Major League Baseball. This is not to say Rogers doesn't spend money. They absolutely do. This isn't to diminish what spending $150 million on a George Springer does. But if you want a guy in his prime for 10 years, that's a deal this ownership group and this front office has yet to complete. What's to make you think Juan Soto would be any different? So once you're outside the Juan Soto box, things look different. And I'm not saying there aren't guys that can help. Okay, so here's a good list. This is the list. So for starting pitchers, Freddie Peralta is out there, Milwaukee Brewer. He's probably a buy low candidate. And that said, when I say buy low, I mean you're still probably going to need to spend $20 million on this guy. It's probably a $60 million 3-year deal, a Chris Bassett style deal. Jack Flaherty's out there, currently with the Tigers. He has value now, man. Like the Tigers picked him up when he was a buy low candidate, 1-year deal. He is going to need probably close to, if not 20 million a year, he's probably a $15 million a year guy. He's probably a Steven Matz type of deal where, you know, it's 4 over 44 or 3 and 45, somewhere like that. You know, like he's you might get him for under 50 million, but is Jack Flaherty, I mean, maybe he can pick up the innings that Yusei Kikuchi. And that's the thing, if the Blue Jays do wind up trading a Chris Bassett, what the hell does this team do if you don't have Yusei Kikuchi and Chris Bassett? Remembering that you can't count on Ricky Tiedemann, you can't count on Alek Manoah, Adam Macko, who was the prospect coming in return for Eric Swanson when we traded Teoscar to the Mariners. He's the number 2 left-handed pitching prospect in this Blue Jays organization. Just was shut down with elbow inflammation. He was killing it. He sat down with us a month ago. Great interview, by the way, if you want to check it out on the YouTube channel, wherever you get your podcast. Adam Macko, really good head on his shoulders, ready to make that next move. He was probably going to get the call up to AAA, but again, health is going to derail some of this stuff, and the Blue Jays have zero depth right now. Who are you going to go to? Aaron Sanchez? This team wants to compete in 2025. It just, I don't know. I mean, Shane Bieber's available. He's coming off UCL reconstruction, probably not going to even be available until midseason next year. And coming off that sort of thing, you never pitch as good right out of the gate. Shane Bieber's interesting and a very talented guy. Can he get all the way back to Cy Young Shane Bieber? I don't know. Might be a little bit of a buy low candidate. And again, when I say buy low, this is a dude who's still probably going to get 2 years, $50 million. Now, when you look at position players, you know, there's Gleyber Torres, a couple Yankees, Verdugo's out there. I mean, for shortstop, there's some choices. I guess Ahmed Rosario from the Tampa Bay Rays is a free agent. Ha-Sung Kim out of San Diego is an interesting option. He can play third base, second base, shortstop. You know, Ha-Sung Kim's a guy I'd be interested in. There's going to be some guys coming over from Korea and Japan again this year. Willie Adames is available. Tyler O'Neill.
I love Tyler O'Neill as an option. Like we talked about needing a corner outfielder. He's on pace for like almost 50 home runs this year. I know his last 2 seasons in St. Louis weren't the best.
Yeah.
But before that, I think he had almost a 150 OPS the year before, like 3 years ago. He's hitting, what's he hitting right now? 142 OPS plus right now.
Another guy struggling to stay on the field.
Yeah, but it's something. Alec Bregman, if you want another Houston Astro to play third for you.
Anthony Santander is another interesting idea.
You mentioned like can't miss guys though, and I'd put Pete Alonso at first base. I know we've got Vladdy at first, but I'd still entertain moving Vladdy to third full time.
Yeah. This is the thing. It's like you go over this free agent list. Who is going to turn this offense around? Maybe Pete Alonso. Like going out and getting a real,
it's going to cost you
up hitter.
Pete Alonso is going to be 200 plus for sure.
Yes, because he's a sure thing. Again, any sure thing is going to cost you a mega deal, and this team has yet to show that they can do it. So, I mean, the short answer to Mohammed's question, who can turn this team around in free agency? I don't think they're out there.
Well, you started with acknowledging the fact that you can't really do it through free agency the way you used to be able to. And a big reason of that is like the new approach to baseball that started in Atlanta and has spread through the league of paying your young guys before they become good guys. Right? Everybody gets locked up when they're 23, so they're not free agents when they're 28. Like it's just, so all the best 28-year-olds that could be available are under contract for the next 6 years still. So
The new
it really
baseball.
depletes the free agent pool. Yeah. It's the new baseball, and it's just another reminder that we're behind the 8 ball. The last good class of free agents are going to be Bo and Vlad. That's working against us.
So going to Patreon here, numerous people saw your MLB Mondays. Thrilled you are back. I am on that list, sir. So again, welcome back. Glad things worked out and that Michelle, your wife, is up and moving and doing her thing again, just like she never broke her leg at all.
Exactly.
Okay. Going to YouTube here. Deb Figuring It Out commented on our Brian Frank of the Herd Chronicles interview. It was really great to have Brian back on the show and talk about what's going on with the Buffalo Bisons, a team that has produced as many major league players in 2024 as any AAA affiliate out there. I mean, it's been impressive. It has been impressive. Also, the reason why this Blue Jays team sucks is you can't just have half of your AAA team become your major league team and expect there to not be bumps in the road and growing pains and developmental, stops and starts. But yeah, so she goes, Buffalo Bisons, give me hope. And then Dolchmaris chimed in on that and said, the Bisons give me hope too. Although the Blue Jays farm system is ranked low, the main downside of it is that most of the talent is at the AAA level. That's an upside for Buffalo and the near team. So, and we've seen that this year. We've seen Addison Barger, Spencer Horowitz, Leo Jimenez, Orelvis Martinez, Stuart Baroa. I mean, we have seen a lot of guys make their major league debut this year. I know Horowitz debuted last year, but he got called up and has just excelled. But again, you can't, as good as this Buffalo Bisons team has been, and I mean, this team would be one of the worst teams in the league. They already are pretty close to that. If it wasn't for some of these guys, I mean, what we've seen out of Spencer has been, they literally called up a guy that had zero hype, 27 years old, and he's hitting in the 2-hole. I mean, which again goes to show you how up shit creek.
And was he playing second base?
Is. Yeah, and he's playing second base. Never played second base until this season.
What is our obsession with putting guys who've never played positions in? Like Addison Barger came up and was like, "Oh, I haven't played this position since I was 11."
Throw him in left. Yeah. I don't know.
This is desperation, man.
Of course it is. It's full desperation.
I'm trying to be glass half full here on. Yeah. Oh, look at all the fucking AAAers we called up this year, but
yeah,
zero superstars. Sorry. A lot of friends of the show. You're all way better at baseball than I could ever hope to be.
Yeah.
I fully acknowledge that. But zero of you could ever hope for a $300 million contract. Like, we just don't have. It's great that we have these depth pieces, and if the rest of the team was good, and then Bo goes down,
great team. Exactly.
Then you go, oh fuck yeah, like Bo's down with an ankle again. Well, thank God we've got this
Ernie
guy
Clement,
that can step up and plug a hole for 3 weeks. Kept us like from having a 11-game losing streak when we were a great team. It kept us in contention. None of these guys are going to raise us into the contention, and I just can't buy into the like, oh, the AAA team's good because look at all the guys we have. Not trying to be like fucking negative, but yeah, I'm negative, man. It's fucking it's dark times.
Role players will make and break a championship team, but
They will not
role
build a
players,
contender.
role players cannot be on a competitive team if they are all this team has. And I'm obviously not giving enough credit here to Vladdy, who has been excellent this season. But for the most part, this team is all role players.
Like if we go into spring training 2025 and Ernie Clement is our plan A third baseman every day, I'm canceling my Sportsnet subscription.
Yeah.
The only way I'm not is if I already have, because this summer went so bad, I pulled the
Yeah.
plug on it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's fucking, we can't have a team of Santiago Espinals. And that's what I feel like every guy we've called up has been like, yeah, fucking Spencer Horwitz might make an all-star game.
Yeah.
Because if he's playing second base and is likable, the way Davis Schneider could like also, I wouldn't have been surprised if he made an all, like if he had the end to last season to start this season and all the
Yeah.
hype and like the Jays fans could have voted him into an all-star
Of
game.
course.
Sure. Right? Like we can just hype a couple of these fun guys into an all-star game. Sure. But
But you can't hype yourself into a World Series.
yeah, I can't hype yourself into a winning record for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, this team is just, oh man, love all these guys, but not as like the new core. They're not,
Yeah.
it's not it. And oh man, if I had to say when's the next time the Blue Jays make the playoffs,
Not pretty.
man, if things go well for us, 2027,
Mm-hmm. And that's
like
again, that's if this front office does what has to be done.
if
And
we
I
do a
don't know if
full
they will.
rebuild this off season, maybe we're 3 years away, right? Like maybe we get to a point where like the Orioles can't afford to pay all of their superstars,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the Gunnar Hendersons and the Adley Rushmans are like, okay, well, we can't give you guys $300 million each, so we got to trade you to the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
And and they start cycling down as we're upswinging. Like that's kind of where we got to be. I think is like, well, punt on the next 2 seasons. Like I'll still watch, but I don't want to pretend that like,
Maybe
oh, maybe we turn around.
Maybe Jordan Westberg and Gunnar Henderson go for a fly ball in the playoffs, run into each other, and their front office completely changes the trajectory of the organization. Who knows? You never can tell what the future holds. We got two questions left, both YouTube. RC Cyber Warrior says, and this is pertaining to last mailbag. We were talking about Bichette and should they trade him? And both Joel and I kind of settled on to the idea of we don't want Bo traded. And I know that it came out in the media. Jeff Blair said that he probably won't be traded this trade deadline because it would affect ticket sales. And so Joel and I kind of hit a point where we're like, well, this team's so bad, I don't know if it really will affect ticket sales. Maybe it will. I mean, Bo, especially with struggling to stay on the field recently. So this is in pertaining to that conversation. RC Cyber Warrior says, no, Bo should not be traded. We need Bo. He said he wants to win a championship with Vladdy in Toronto. I love Bo, and many other fans do as well. He has been injured since his neck injury early in the season after the Cabrera altercation with an opposing player at third base. And yes, Bo sells tickets, just like his jerseys are the second or third best sellers after Springer's and Vladdy's. I agree and I disagree. I agree that. So I'll just say this. If Bo Bichette is into staying in Toronto, get it done.
Yep.
If Bo Bichette wants to go to free agency, it would be complete malpractice and idiocy by this front office to not get the assets that are available in return and to just let him go for a compensatory draft pick. Fucking insanity. All right. So
Agreed.
again, if you're going to lose that trade, that's the thing with trading Bo and Vladdy. I guarantee if they move these two guys, you got to deal with the fact, yes, you lose that trade because you're literally crossing your fingers and then hoping that some prospects coming back do as well as they have done.
Yeah, I mean, then you're only left to argue as a fan base.
Yeah.
When do you get the most value out of Bo, right? Like, obviously, this is a down year for him performance-wise.
Yes.
Performance-wise, this is an absolute down year. But more control left this year than next year, right? So that's like the calculation that, again, is just up for argument and speculation for bozos like us to be like, okay, well, let's just say Bo has an amazing August and September. We don't trade him because we can't because the value is low or whatever. But he's awesome again in August and September. And then this off season, is that more valuable? When we go to call the Dodgers or whoever we're calling or they're calling us, do they say, hey, 1 year of Bo Bichette will give you a better package than a year and a half of Bo Bichette, 2 playoff runs with Bo Bichette, right? Because I'm still of the case that he's more valuable now than he will be this offseason or next trade. Like the value
We're
of Bo
we're
Bichette
we're in Josh
is
Donaldson territory here, buddy.
the value of Bo Bichette, I think, is the last 4 years on his resume.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're interested in Bo at all over the offseason, you're looking at what he did this year and you're going, okay, blip on the radar.
Yeah.
This is a guy that 90% of the time is going to be like lead the league in hits kind of a guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Little shaky defensively, but we're willing to overlook it because he's such a great put the ball in play kind of hitter. And that's what we want. And I just think if you're willing to say that, like if you're a front office who's willing to overlook the 2024 season next, whatever, this winter, you're that same person is also willing to go, yeah, he had a slow start to this year. I think a change of scenery is what he needs. And I think, what was it, 2022? Look at the September he put together then for the Jays.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I think he could still turn it around at any point, could get help. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of reasons I think his value is still higher than it would probably be at face value right now. So I'm still like a guy, yeah, trade him now. I'm also, like you said, if we can get it done and he wants to stay in Toronto, is willing to like sign a deal to stay here for the next 7+ years, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's like my choice one is, yeah, Bo and Vladdy are a good enough core for us to build a team around. Like we do need to make a lot of other moves, but Bo and Vlad together are a really great core to start your franchise with. I don't think anybody could argue that. But like, yeah, if he's fucking gone, if he wants out, you're fucking irresponsible, criminal negligence.
Yeah.
To let him walk for just a draft pick. So, yeah. I don't know. It does seem like Vladdy kind of wants to stay here.
It does feel more like Vladdy is prepared to stay than Bo is. We'll see. I mean, same thing though. If it's all speculation, but if Vladdy is dead set on going to free agency, you have to move him you have to move him right now. Move him now.
I would say with Vlad, okay, if the sticking point is like if we're having talks with Vlad right now and we're saying, hey, we want to extend you. And his response is, I'd love to, but I don't know what I'm worth anymore.
Yeah.
I thought I was worth 400 million. You're saying I'm worth 150 million based on my regressive seasons. I think I'm still better than that. Let me see what the market says, and then we'll talk. If he wants to test free agency, I think we can still get a deal done with him.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the case with Bo.
Yeah. I agree. We will finish on this. This is from Jennifer Mara on YouTube. She says, your podcast has become one of my faves, and I'm going to miss Joel so much when he's not here on the regular. No offense or disrespect to Adam, but I just love Joel's perspective. And Jennifer, no disrespect taken. Joel is one of our favorites. He is on Long Toss almost every episode. Apologies for the sporadicness of Long Toss this July. I know that we've gotten some comments that are not very happy. I also know that the shit talk about Long Toss is because you guys enjoy Long Toss, and so do we. And I appreciate it so much, and the listenership. I know there was Adam and I were even talking about it. There was a comment where they were like, "Oh, part-time podcasters are back after swerving Long Toss." It's just like I'm sorry. Sometimes shit comes up, guys. We're doing our best here. If you want it on the regular, here's what you do. You find Adam and I, what, 50K each? Would that do it? You find us 50K
That's
each.
fine. That's fine.
You
I'll
know
do
what?
it for
We'll settle
50K.
for 35. We'll work for 35K each.
Yes.
And we won't miss an episode.
That sounds reasonable.
What I will say though is that despite Jennifer missing Joel, I am so fucking happy you are back, Mr. Mac. I honestly cannot express that enough. I love talking baseball with you more than anyone. And yeah, it feels good. The team is back, buddy. The Jays suck, but we're back.
Jays suck. We're still here. Jays suck. This podcast sucks, but we're here.